Okay, we're good to go, Dina Bandhu Prabhu.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll just go ahead and bring up the verse here. Just one moment. Okay, so today we'll be reading 10th canto, chapter 37, and we're reading texts 7 through 14. So I'll go ahead and share the screen. So this is the killing of the demons Keshi and Vyoma. Right now we're hearing about Krishna killing the Keshi demon, horse demon. So the verse that we're starting with is kind of the final part of this pastime. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll be reading now from 10th canto, chapter 37, text number 7. Samedamanena sa Krishna bahuna nirudhavayushchananamscha vikshipan prasvina gatra parivrita lochana papatalandam visharjan chitao vyasuhu. So translation. As Lord Krishna's expanding arm completely blocked Keshi's breathing, his legs kicked convulsively, his body became covered with sweat, and his eyes rolled around. The demon then passed stool and fell on the ground, dead. Next verse. Tadehata karkatika palopamadvyasur apakshriya Bhujam Mahabhujaha Avishmito Yatna Hattarika Surai Prasuna Varsher Varshadbir Iditaha. Translation. The mighty armed Krishna withdrew his arm from Keshi's body, which now appeared like a long karkatika fruit. Without the least display of pride at having so effortlessly killed his enemy, the Lord accepted the demigod's worship in the form of flowers rained down from above. Text 9. Devarshir upasangamya bhagavata pravaronripa Krishnam aklishta karmanam Rahasyetad abhasata. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear king, thereafter Lord Krishna was approached in a solitary place by the great sage among the demigods, Narada Muni. That most exalted devotee spoke as follows to the Lord, who effortlessly performs his pastimes. Purport. After speaking with Kamsa, Narada went to see Lord Krishna. The Lord's Vrindavan pastimes were nearly completed, and Narada wanted to see those he would enact in Mathura. Texts 10 and 11. Krishna Krishna prameyatman yogesha jagadishvara vasudeva kila vasa Sattvatam pravara prabho Tvam atma sarva bhutanam eko jyotir ivaidasam Gudho guha shaya sakshi mahapurusha ishvaraha. Translation. Narada Muni said, O Krishna, Krishna, unlimited Lord, source of all mystic power, Lord of the universe, O Vasudev, shelter of all beings and best of the Yadus, O Master, you are the supreme soul of all created beings, sitting unseen within the cave of the heart, like the fire dormant within kindling wood. You are the witness within everyone, the supreme personality, and the ultimate controlling deity. Text 12. Atmanatma shrayaha purvam mayaya sasrije gunan tair idam satya sankalpaha srijasyatsi avasi shwaraha. Translation. You are the shelter of all souls, and being the supreme controller, you fulfill your desires simply by your will. By your personal creative potency, you manifested in the beginning the primal modes of material nature, and through their agency, you create, maintain, and then destroy this universe. Text 13. Sattvam budhara bhutanam daitya pramata rakshasam avatirno vinashaya sadhunam rakshanaya cha. You, that very same creator, have now descended to the earth to annihilate the Daitya, Pramata, and Rakshasa demons who are posing as kings, and also to protect the godly. Text 14. Dishtyate nihato daityo lilayayam hayakritihi yasya heshita santrastas Tyajantyani Misha Divam. Translation. The horse demon was so terrifying that his neighing frightened the demigods into leaving their heavenly kingdom. But by our good fortune, you have enjoyed the sport of killing him. Om Agyanatimirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. Good morning, Adipurusha Prabhu. Wonderful to see you. And so grateful to see you all. And I'd like to really seek everyone's blessings, well wishes, so that we may have a meaningful discussion this morning, maybe something that's pleasing to the hearts of all of the devotees, pleasing to the heart of our spiritual masters of Srila Prabhupada. So thank you so much. And Adipurusha Prabhu, want to seek your blessings as a senior devotee among us, Arjuna Prabhu, and just each and every one of you. So thank you so much for the opportunity to join this morning, and so grateful to see everyone after a little while. I have been tuning in, but it's so nice to be able to meet, we can say, face to face. So thank you so much. So we will discuss this very interesting pastime of Krishna killing the Keshi demon, the horse demon, who in these verses that we just read was just very much vanquished. Krishna placed his arm inside the mouth of the Keshi demon. And as surely Bhima Prabhu could tell us, horses, they have this in their nature that they can be controlled through their mouth. Traditionally the horse harnesses would have something that goes inside of the horse's mouth, and that's something that's mentioned in the purports of these verses. This pastime, sometimes it's mentioned that Krishna kind of controlled him, just like one would control a horse in an ordinary circumstance. But of course, Krishna doesn't do anything ordinary. So he put his arm in the Keshi demon's mouth, and his arm expanded within the mouth of the Keshi demon to such an extent that he was choking this demon in the form of a horse, and that Krishna's arm became like hot iron rod in the mouth of the Keshi demon. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he makes a comment that Krishna is under all circumstances cooling like a blue lotus, yet from the demonic mentality of the Keshi demon, Krishna was very hot, burning for him to behold. So let's see. And of course, these verses mention how Krishna protects his devotees, and he also performs his pastimes for sport, for his own enjoyment. So this is, Krishna's Leela has many layers, that he is protecting his devotees. He's enchanting the hearts of all who witness these pastimes, prayerfully including ourselves. As we hear these pastimes, our hearts are being enchanted, and we are becoming more and more attracted to the glories and qualities of Krishna, his names, forms, qualities, and activities. So the Brajvasis surely are being very much charmed by these activities, though they are also quite fearful. And Mother Yashoda is fearful of the Keshi demon. She doesn't want Krishna to go outside and play with his friends because they hear that the Keshi demon is on the loose. So this is a wonderful example of the Yoga Maya feature of the Lord. Krishna's internal potencies express themselves sometimes as Mahamaya or Yoga Maya. In this material world, that illusory potency is called Mahamaya. And that has a bewildering effect that actually keeps us, we can say in the grand scheme of things, only temporarily, but keeps us away from Krishna, keeps us away from feeling devotion for the Supreme Lord. So that's a bewildering potency that has a distancing effect. Now, in the spiritual world, this internal potency manifests itself as Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya is also bewildering energy of the Lord, but it, rather than having a distancing effect, it has the effect of bringing the devotees that much closer, heightening their devotion, imparting a certain flavor to their devotional experience. And that Yoga Maya functions so beautifully in the spiritual world. And in Vrindavan, Prabhupada gives the example of how energy can be used to heat or to cool. It's the same energy, it's the same electricity, and sometimes it can be used to heat a building, sometimes it can be used to cool a building. So in the same way, Krishna's internal energy, the same internal energy, but it expresses itself in different ways according to time, place, and circumstance. So in the spiritual world, this internal potency as Yoga Maya is bewildering the residents of Vrindavan, but bewildering them in such a way that they're coming closer to Krishna at every moment. Of course, we can't even conceive of how close the Vrajvasis are to Krishna. So But when we're reckoning with the unlimited, when we're approaching the unlimited, we always can come closer. We always can go deeper. So the Brajvasis are just deepening and deepening their love for Krishna at every second. And Yogamaya functions in such a way that they are not cognizant of Krishna's divinity. Of course, Krishna is, we can say, supreme personality of Godhead, absolutely. And being God is part of his identity. But he has so many qualities that even go beyond that, even go beyond his supremacy. So the Brajvasis, they're so charmed by Krishna, and Krishna is their everything. Yet they're not thinking of him as, oh, our Lord. There's not that Aishwarya, there's not that awe and reverence, which can sometimes also have a distancing effect. We become God-fearing. We become somewhat intimidated by the imposing nature of the Supreme Lord. And that happens. And that's something that is emphasized to different degrees in all religious traditions. Yet in our tradition, we're trying to develop love for Krishna. Of course, some healthy reverence is good, especially in our early stages of spiritual life, prevents us from making offenses. But at the same time, we understand that the ultimate goal, like the Brajvasis, is to be just fully charmed and enraptured by Krishna's qualities, by his activities, and not to become distanced by that awe and reverence. So in this case, the Brajvasis are worried about Krishna. They're worried that he's going to be harmed by the Keshi demon. And this enhances their devotion and their love for Krishna, because they're experiencing this very deep concern for Krishna. And yet at the same time, they have this confidence of how amazing he is. And ultimately, they see that everything will be well. So they don't have any of this transactional quality that we sometimes have with the Supreme Lord, because they're not thinking of him in that way, as someone who supplies orders for them, someone who they're going to with requests. Of course, under every circumstance, Krishna does supply their every need. He saved all of the Brajvasis when he lifted Govardhan Hill. And when Krishna helps us, the very, very unique thing, when Krishna helps us, we don't only get the help that we're looking for, we actually come closer to Krishna in the process. And we get to spend, we can say we get to spend time with him. We get to feel the presence of the Supreme Lord as he is helping us. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So in Krishna's killing the demons, we see that he is establishing order. He is bringing that sense of peace back to the residents of Vrindavan, the residents of Mathura, wherever the particular pastime may be taking place. He's restoring order. He's really acting this out, what he says in Bhagavad Gita. And he's delivering the pious, not only delivering them from their problems, but delivering them to their ultimate joy, their ultimate nourishment, their ultimate fulfillment. Because in seeing Krishna performing these pastimes, they are completely absorbed, reconciled. That feeling when, there's just nowhere you'd rather be. There's nothing else you'd want to be doing. So the residents of Vrindavan are just completely overwhelmed with love and peace in seeing Krishna's pastimes playing out. Of course, there's stress and there's intrigue and there's fear, but these are all happening on the spiritual platform. It's all actually different forms of spiritual ecstasy. So we can look at this and we can say that in this world, Krishna is coming also to deliver us. We may not see ourselves as pious, but Krishna is delivering the pious and annihilating the miscreants. So Krishna is destroying those negative influences, ego, envy, fear, greed, lust, all of these less conducive material qualities. He's destroying those who embody those qualities. He may not destroy them like he does the Keshi demon. He actually gives us a chance, rather than just completely vanquishing us, as the Keshi demon is vanquished. He's giving us a chance to watch. He's giving us a chance to witness him destroy these qualities within us, if only we allow him. And how do we do that? Well, for one, it's definitely, sometimes we may have a feeling that, I'm too conditioned, I'm too fallen. But that's actually our own illusion. It's actually our own ego to think that we're beyond help, to think that there's nothing that Krishna can do, right? Because I saw one time in a Christian bookstore, there was a T-shirt that said, God is bigger than my problems. So of course, we may say, oh, I'm so downtrodden and there's very little that can, that can be done for me. But that's Maya, actually. That's our illusion and ego to think that Krishna can't be bigger than any of our problems. And of course, in these wonderful pastimes of Krishna vanquishing these very terrifying demons, Krishna is showing us that we have nothing to fear. In Bhagavad Gita, he says, Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma suchaha. He will deliver us from all sinful reactions, and do not fear. So we don't have to fear that Krishna cannot act in our lives. He's always acting in our lives. So, and as he helps us, we get to come closer to him. It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful part of the way that Krishna helps, that when he lifted Govardhan Hill, the Brajvasis, they get to spend all of this time just gazing upon Krishna's form. Krishna's usually doing all of his activities and going here and there with his friends, and they only catch a glimpse of him. But when he lifted Govardhan Hill, not only is he saving them from these torrents of rain brought on by Indra, but he's actually giving them that opportunity to just look at him, look upon him, be with him. So when Krishna helps us, it doesn't just take care of our initial concern, but it's bringing us that much closer to him. And that's really what's helping us. That's really what's saving us. That's really what's uplifting us. Problems in this world may come and go, but if we're finding a way through our difficulties to feel Krishna's presence, Krishna's affection, that's the actual solution to our problems, even more so than the external issue at hand. So this is what's actually nourishing and satisfying the soul. And we get to experience our real nature, Satchit Ananda, that we are eternal, that we are full of spiritual knowledge, and that we experience bliss, and we experience bliss in connection to the Supreme Lord and his devotees. So Srila Prabhupada shares, this is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam, the purport to Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 48. Srila Prabhupada says, if one simply begins devotional service, he is immediately protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. This is the verse that we just chanted, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami. Protection begins immediately. The Lord is so kind and merciful that he gives the devotee proper guidance and all protection, and thus the devotee very peacefully makes solid progress in Krishna consciousness without outward disturbances. A serpent may be very angry and ready to bite, but the furious snake is helpless when faced by a blazing fire in the forest. Although an enemy of a devotee may be very strong, he is compared to an angry serpent before the fire of devotional service. So again, whatever obstacle, whatever problem, whatever contrary force we find in our life, it's no match. Ultimately, it's no match for the potency of devotional service, the potency of Krishna. So that's why ultimately the devotee, Srila Prabhupada was asked, what is the quality of a devotee? And one of his answers to this question was the devotee is fearless. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, his name is Abhay, which means that fearlessness. That's his name that was given by his family. And so when we truly understand that, when we have that understanding, we know that whatever problem we're going through, whatever obstacle we're experiencing in our spiritual life or in our material circumstance, we know that ultimately that is just a small blip on the radar of the grand scheme of things, the full picture. We know that Krishna has all of this under his control. He's Ishvara. We try to be Ishvara sometimes. We try to be the controllers, and that just stresses us out that much more because we're living with the four defects, right? We have imperfect senses. We have a tendency to be illusioned. We have a fault-finding propensity, and we make mistakes. So if we're trying to be Ishvara, we are bound to be disappointed because for one, we're not. And for two, we're going to come up short, even in our small endeavors. Krishna does give us a degree of control in this world. And even in those endeavors, we find disappointment because we are very much, we can say, works in progress. So this is why we look to Krishna. We look to Krishna's advanced devotees. We look to them for guidance, for help, for clarity. And in this way, we are progressively accepting Krishna's position, right? So one time, Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, he said to me, I asked him about embracing circumstances. I forget the particular. I was saying, we have to embrace the circumstances, and he said, well, you have to embrace the circumstances because even if you don't, the circumstances are still going to embrace you. So things are happening to us in this world through which we have very little control. So when we accept that Krishna is the ultimate controller, and when we welcome that conception into our life, we experience great relief. And we also are able to surrender our problems and our circumstances in a very healthy and very spiritually beneficial way, because we're in touch with reality in this way. So as the circumstances embrace us in life, we try to embrace the reality that Krishna is in control, that Krishna is going to help us, and that we are going to, in due course of time, by Krishna's mercy, by Guru's mercy, by the devotees' mercy, we're going to move through these circumstances. And we pray to do so in such a way that it brings us ever closer to Krishna. Just like the Brajvasis, when they're being saved by Krishna, when they're being helped by Krishna, when they're witnessing Krishna killing demons and vanquishing the negative forces, that we see that they are being ever more charmed by Krishna. They're coming ever closer to Krishna. So in the same way, we pray that in our circumstances, as Krishna is helping us through, that we're developing that much more attraction to him. We're being brought ever closer to his lotus feet. So Krishna goes back to his usual business after these pastimes. He continues enjoying, and actually even in vanquishing these demons, he's enjoying. Srila Prabhupada says, and there's one conversation. So this is in Vrindavan, 1972, November 13th. Srila Prabhupada says, he said, okay, here we go. We are meeting with so many problems of life. These are called anarthas, unnecessary. I am spirit soul. You are spirit soul. We are as good as God. Anandamayo Vyasat. Our real position is Ananda, Satchit Ananda. So why are we meeting so many problems? This is due to this body. This is due to this body, it says twice. Therefore, the real real education is how to stop this repetition of body. But they do not know. We are part and parcel of Krishna. He is fully joyful. You'll see always Krishna joyful. When he's killing an animal, he's laughing. He's joyful. You have seen Krishna's picture. It's not that it's a problem. You have seen Krishna is killing that Keshi demon, a horse, big horse, just like a child's play. Krishna is, I mean to say, fighting with that bull. What is the name of that bull? And Pradyumna Prabhu says, Aristasura. Prabhupada says, Aristasura, the attacking with his horns. Krishna is just like playing with a toy. That is Krishna. So Krishna is always anxious to give us enlightenment, that this is not your life. Why are you rotting in this material world? Come back. So all of our problems that we find in this world, Krishna can vanquish these in just a moment. And he enjoys while he's doing so. And he's beautiful while he's doing so. So this is bringing our hearts ever closer to the reality and our ultimate goal of serving Krishna, being with Krishna, whether it's in this life or beyond this life. But we're striving to have that same consciousness and allowing ourselves to be charmed by Krishna, looking toward Krishna rather than looking away from him. So these pastimes are just such a wonderful opportunity for us to meditate on Krishna's glories and on that reality also. So thank you all so much. Thank you for being here this morning, and I'll stop here and really look forward to everyone's reflections, questions, corrections, thoughts, input, and so on. So thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Dina Bandhu Prabhu ki jai. Wonderful class. Thank you, Prabhu. When you were talking about how we're never beyond Krishna's mercy, beyond salvation, like, I'm sure I'm butchering the way you said it, but it reminded me of a song by Metallica. It's called "Never Too Far Gone." It's basically a heavy metal, a thrash metal prayer, where the guy is praying that, yeah, just for today, dear Lord, please help me get by. Just for today, I'm never too far gone. So if there's any metal heads on this call, look this up. You're gonna like it. And with this, we are turning it over to Jamuna Jai and Damodar Priya, Devi Dasis. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Dina Bandhu. Thank you so much for
Hare
class.
Krishna.
It's just so fun whenever, many mornings there's class I'm preparing to teach for the yoga studio, Yoga Maya. So whenever the Yoga Maya potency comes up, because it's literally, it's on our, it's on our yoga mat. So whenever people say it, and Yoga Maya is where I first heard about Krishna consciousness. So I'm always so happy to be here preparing to teach when that comes up. But so just that, but also I love the way you said it, let me write, because I wrote it down, Krishna's qualities that go beyond his supremacy. And I think it was even you that said, or someone in this class quite some time ago said that that being God is only part of Krishna, that there's other qualities. So I always love those remembrances of that, that is his supremacy or his godliness is just one part. It's the friend, it's the child, it's all those other things that really make up Krishna. And I was giving some folks that are new to Bhakti a tour of the Bhakti Center yesterday, and we were in the temple, and I was pointing out to them, I said, you notice he's never alone in the pictures. He's scarcely ever alone. There's a tree, there's a shrub, there's a person. They're all trying to have relationship, and that's what he wants in this Yoga Maya, very personal way. So thank you for reminding us of that.
Thank you so much. I love that point, that he's never alone. And of course, we just had Radhastami, and so that's the ultimate reminder that Krishna is never alone. He's always personal, always accompanied by his loving devotees and his topmost devotee.
Hare Krishna and good morning, Dina Bandhu Prabhu. Please accept my obeisance.
Hare
So
Krishna,
nice
please
to see
accept
you
mine. So good to see you, Damodar Priya Prabhu. Thank you for your joyful smile. Yeah, so glad to see you.
Really, please do not leave us for so long. We missed you so much. And my biggest takeaway is when you, I love that my biggest takeaway you shared came from a Christian bookstore. So I love that you brought it kind of like that interfaith, because there are aspects that can be shared, and there are universal, and that whole idea that Krishna, that God is bigger than our problems. I feel like I need to put that Post-it like all over the place, because it's like you said, it's that I didn't even realize, like, it's that kind of like trying to be Ishvara, like trying to be God, and thinking like, well, my problems are so much bigger. Like there's no way that anybody could, understand, commiserate, and be over. And it's like, no, you're right. Like Krishna literally is in our hearts. So how could anybody else more empathize with us, more love us, more understand, and more be able to guide us? And I love also, I think what you said, that a lot of times we pray for what we think we want, but he's going to give us what we need. I'm not sure if you said that exactly, but it's kind of like in that mind. So thank you so much. And I was wondering if you could just fill us in on any Krishna magic that's happened to you since we've last seen you. Just curious to like what's going on in your life.
No, thank you. And thank you for those beautiful reflections. And thank you for asking. Now, Krishna magic in my own life. Well, I mean, so we've been very much immersed in the service of raising our son. So yeah, so he's 16 months old right now. His name is Nitai Chand, and he's really very rambunctious and energetic these days, and running here and there. So we're really, our own energy is being tested to the max, but in a really fun way, in a really sweet way. And yeah, it's been a wonderful blessing. So that has been a consuming service, in the sense that we haven't been able to be around the devotees in the temple quite as much, but it's been always reminding myself that we are around devotees. He's a devotee, and trying to really not get so into this mentality of, oh, I can't do this service because I'm doing this service. It's all service. And it's been really wonderful. So that has been a major factor. And then also working in the hospital. Adi Purusha Prabhu shared a while back, Adi Purusha Prabhu, that you worked in a psychiatric setting early on as a social worker. So yeah, I work in a psychiatric hospital as a chaplain. What's that, Ananda Vihari Prabhu? Sorry?
He's still working in a psychiatric setting.
Okay. So yeah, always offering, that care to people. So yeah, and trying to remind, people, as we remind ourselves, we can also try to remind people that, as you were saying, Damodar Priya Prabhu, that Krishna is always bigger than our problems and our difficulties. So, okay. Thank you for asking that. So anyone else have any thoughts?
Adi Purusha, or a psychiatrist? Was that Gail? Sorry.
Yeah, it was, but it's Adi Purush Guru.
Krishna, yeah, it's so wonderful to hear and remember again and again and again that Krishna is bigger than our problems. And one of the details of this pastime, which is also Prabhupada points out in the pastime of Raha, gigantic monster boar, large enough, to fight a Hiranyaksha, large enough to lift the earth on his tusk. And so the demon he was fighting against is also huge. But in the battle, which was very dramatic, at one point, Lord Raha just goes with his left hand, just like this. It reminds me of an Italian gesture. He just taps him on the side of his head, and that's it. Just effortlessly, Krishna effortlessly defeats the greatest demons. And sometimes in this life, when we begin to think about the good guys, the conspiracy theories, all the demons that are so wealthy and powerful, and they're, like in the Krishna book, the demoniac kings who overburden the earth with their military forces, that they are actually like a plaything, in the hands of the Lord. And we can remember how wonderful Krishna is, how great he is, and how kind he is to protect us. And that without any effort, he can just completely crush them, It's just like, oh, thank you, Krishna. So, and the biggest problem is my mind. Even Hiranyakasipu performed terrific austerities and dominated all the demigods in the entire universe. Prahlad Maharaj says to him, "My dear father, you have no enemy except your own uncontrolled mind." So we call upon the Lord to help to fill our mind with mantra and pastimes and being absorbed in. Prabhupada said the best way to control the mind is to apply every bit of our mental energy into how to rescue others, how to share Krishna consciousness. So then we are protected, because the mind, when it's idle, it's the devil's workshop. Anyway, Krishna effortlessly defeats the demons. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And thank you so much, Adipurusha Prabhu. Thank you. Really appreciate hearing that. And you always have a way of bringing everything together in a beautiful way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we had Gail, and then we have Madan Gopal Prabhu here. So who'd like to go first?
Yes.
Oh, I want to hear from Madan Gopal Prabhu. Wow.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Dina, Bandhu Prabhu. So wonderful class, very, very beautifully given. And I especially like the point that we discussed several times, that, our Krishna is way bigger than our problems, and he's stronger. And when we realize that, then we, it gives us immediate sense of peace. Like Arjuna was very confused. But how he dealt with the problem was that he surrendered to Krishna. And interestingly, at the end of the whole Gita, when the fact that he surrendered to Krishna did not translate into him surrendering his actions, or like giving up his actions, or not doing anything, but rather it led to doing more than what he was going to do. So just recognizing that, Krishna is bigger than our problems doesn't mean that we won't have to deal with them. Doesn't mean we won't have to lift up the weapons, but it's just that our intelligence is being directed by Krishna now. You see, the problem is not insurmountable, but the way the problem will be dealt with will be done with the spiritual intelligence, and there's two things to it: the ability to do the problem, as well as the recognition, or the capacity to accept the things that are inevitable. It's like the Lord's, the other prayer that we have, where, I think, give me the capacity to accept that I can't, the strength to accept what I cannot change, and the strength to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference, and so on. So really that's what it translates to when we have Krishna deal with our problems, that he gives us a perspective on how to see things, as well as the strength to do what we should do, and the prayer is always nonstop. Because even in the war, even after the war started, it didn't mean that Arjuna stopped asking Krishna for guidance. He still kept asking him. It's not that the Gita is over, now I know what to do. It's a constant, even when we're doing what we have been directed to do by Krishna, it's still a constant prayer for guidance, So it's that's what I was reflecting on. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Madan Gopal Prabhu. Yeah, so nice to hear that reflection, and such a great distinction that the problems are not necessarily going to just vanish, and it doesn't mean that we just sit back and let Krishna handle it all. Spiritually speaking, that may be the case, but we have to act. We have to act in this world, and that meeting of our effort and trying to face the problem ourselves, but knowing that Krishna's with us in that, and ultimately he's the one who is guiding everything. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, Arjuna didn't just walk away. So thank you so much, Prabhu. Oh, and Damodar Priya Prabhu just shared this serenity prayer with us in the chat. Yeah, beautiful.
Speaking of serenity, Bhima Prabhu, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, Bhima Prabhu. And we had Gail also, right?
Yeah, Gail. Yeah, that's right.
I'll be quick. Hopefully Gail can get in as well. Would you stay for the afterglow?
Oh, absolutely, Prabhu. Absolutely.
Oh, great. Maybe Gail, you go real quick, and I will take my comment and question to the afterglow.
Yeah, I mean, well, for one thing, welcome to the other world of deity worship, Guru.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you.
And one thing I was reflecting on. Well, another thing is, I have to churn what Madan Gopal Prabhu just said, because it directly addresses my issue, which is like when you have a long-standing problem, that doesn't look like it's going away. I don't know if I understood him properly, but what my takeaway was that Krishna's help doesn't necessarily mean that the problem goes away. I don't know. If it means that you're always in the mood of seeking guidance, maybe if you're, I don't know, how would you respond, to long-standing problems? Is when it seems like, because they continue to persist, it seems like you're not, Krishna's, not doing much. So what's the proper attitude? That, we just have to be in the mood of looking for and taking guidance, whether they persist or not, those problems? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Krishna not doing much. That sounds intense.
Well, not doing much, as the interpretation of, well, the problems still persist. If a person is dealing with long-term problems, it might seem that.
Okay, the prayer is going to show the clock. Let's leave it for the afterglow, please. 5 minutes after the darshan. Cameras on, please, if you can, dear devotees. Krishna Daya Prabhu and family. Hare Krishna.
Oh my Ananda Chimaya Sadhu Kala Vigrahasra Govinda Adipurusha Amaham Tani Govinda Adipurusha Amaham Tani Govinda Hare Krishna. Vani Vinnam Manipursa
Okay, Dina Bandhu Prabhu, would you like to take on Gail's question? That Krishna is not doing much.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can speak about this. And Gail, would you be able to just summarize it again, though, just to make sure that I'm speaking to your query?
Yes, I'm not accusing Krishna of not doing anything. I'm saying how it might feel, if the problems are long-standing. If you can. Anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. So what comes to mind or comes to heart when you say these things is that, yeah, a lot of the time we have problems that feel very unwavering, and actually, let's go as far as to say, materially speaking, they may actually never go away. It may be the case. There are problems in this material world that do have that quality of being unwavering. And it seems that, and I would love to hear from people who have faced realities like this, because on some level, I feel a little unqualified by lack of experience to speak in this way. Of course, it comes to us all eventually, some real, very strong challenges in this way. But what I see among friends who have dealt with chronic illness, or friends who have dealt with very, very long-standing problems in their lives, is that they seem to experience, by Krishna's mercy, they seem to experience over time, sometimes just changes within themselves. They kind of change phase, and in that way, their relationship to the circumstance changes in such a way that it's deepening them as persons, that it's allowing them to develop deep compassion for other people who are suffering. It's allowing them to seek deeper shelter, or to feel deeper shelter on a daily basis. So we can say that these are like silver linings to a really challenging, unwavering circumstance. But you can almost invert that and say that what they're actually experiencing is a deepening shelter. What they're actually experiencing is a deepening compassion and deepening as a person. And the problem is kind of a secondary thing. And problem is something that is enabling that shift in their life. So it doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it any less, terrible in a day-to-day circumstance. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, but Krishna's acting sometimes takes that form. It takes the form of how we are changing as persons and how we're growing as persons through the problems. And in that way, he's with us, he's guiding us, he's helping us. And we pray, of course, that we also find relief from the problem itself, and that the problem may pull back in some way or another. But at the same time, Krishna is acting, no matter what the circumstance is, in relationship to the experience that we're having.
That was an amazing perspective. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
wonderful question. I love these you ask very real questions, Gail.
Yeah, and as you were saying, even we do want the problems to get pulled back. Otherwise, that change that Krishna is inspiring in us won't even happen. right? We have to keep trying for that. Otherwise, his strategy won't even work,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just one other quick kind of comment I wanted to make was that when you were saying how, we strive for so many things, and they're like not satisfying. But I was thinking, and this is not spoken from realization at all, but it makes sense to me that even if we get all the things that we want materially, we still won't be satisfied because it's not the nature of the soul, to strive for our own happiness. So even in striving for our own happiness, we get our material goals met, we ultimately still won't be satisfied because it's not fulfilling our nature. That was just something that came to mind when you were speaking.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gail. It's such a wonderful realization. And we see this play out in so many ways. It's very interesting because for most of us, we spend our lives in pursuit of all of the material happiness. We never quite get there. And it's a very unreachable thing. So in that sense, it almost allows us to retain that illusion that if I had X, Y, and Z, I would become happy. So we stay in that chasing kind of mentality, so close yet so far. But in the example of celebrities and people who do attain very, very high material heights, it's very helpful for us to observe that even among them who do attain these things that for so many of us remain unattainable, they experience a great disappointment in that also, because as you said, it's not nourishing to the soul. It's not nourishing on the deepest level. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bhima Prabhu. Thank you so much for waiting for the afterglow.
Haribol Prabhu. I was just wanted to say that we talk about the visitation of long-term or chronic or repetitive calamities in our lives. And all I can speak from is from my own personal experience, that if sincere calling upon Krishna's name, chanting, sincere chanting, is the essential mover of our spiritual life, then never was there a time that I was in the middle of a calamity that I wasn't chanting more sincere than I ever chanted before. And on conversely, when things are easy and when things are going well, I can forget about Krishna really quick. I can really go along with the flow of prosperity or just sort of the euphoria of things going our way. I wanted to and then of course the chanting becomes and then we get caught up in it. We become attached to that thing that is giving us this superficial happiness by nature. And because we get caught up into it, our mind goes to it, becomes attracted to it. And then our chanting becomes terrible, becomes, what's it called? Distracted, because of course our mind is going to go to that which it's, most closely attracted to. So, once again, it's a tough prayer to have. Krishna will send, the material nature will send the calamities. We don't need to pray for them, but perhaps if we pray for calamities, when they do come, we'll be prepared and we will understand why they're happening. And that is simply to get us to cry out for Krishna's guidance. And on that, I would just like to quickly end that you brought up at the beginning of your wonderful class, how a horse has a bit in its mouth. when you are controlling the horse's movements. And for that is sort of like the 4 regulative principles. It is a hard bit. It is in your mouth. It's steel, actually. And because a horse is led by his head, as we are led by our passions, the reins have to be in a confident rider's hands. There's no one more confident than our guru, a true spiritual master, and of course, confidence personified, Krishna himself. But after a while, Krishna doesn't have to pull so hard on the reins. There's a thing when you are teaching a horse its paces, whether it be cantering or galloping or trotting, and that is lightness of touch. The heel, you cease to wear spurs. You no longer have to spur the horse. You gently only have to touch it to its ribs. Pretty soon, as in the higher arts of dressage, who my wife participates in, you cannot even see what the rider is doing. Most people who do not know, that are looking on in an amateur vision, feel, and this is where Gail's thing is, Krishna doesn't seem to be doing anything. Just like a rider on a horse at the higher levels does not seem to be sending any kind of cue to the horse, and yet the horse is going through so many different dance maneuvers and so many different slight, very obedient, but also joyful. A horse that is joyful, that can trust its rider to know exactly what these slight cues. So similarly in our lives, as we advance in life, Krishna doesn't need to smash us anymore or throw us to the dogs of Maya. Krishna only gives us, I can't remember who said it, but Krishna gives us little miracles all day long. We see that all day long. Krishna is giving us what we lack, and what is that quote? He supplies what we lack and maintains, preserves what we have. So this is the sign of a wonderful rider, that they do not have to do much because the horse has learned to trust the rider. The horse needs no encouragement. The horse takes great joy in serving the rider. The horse looks forward to it. When the rider shows up at the barn, the horse calls out when he's out, "Come, pay attention to me, groom me, tack me up. Let's get out there. Let's do some jumping." So this is sort of like what we are under the Guru's reins, under the reins of Krishna, on this battlefield of the material world. Thank you very much for such a wonderful class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhima Prabhu. It's so wonderful to hear from you, and thank you for sharing these beautiful images, these beautiful metaphors, and I can feel very deeply that it's coming from your natural realizations and what you do every day, being so thoughtful and Krishna conscious. So I'll be remembering a lot of these images. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Really helpful. Really helpful.
Yeah. Bhima Prabhu is galloping on the path of devotion effortlessly. Yeah, Krishna doesn't have to put anything in his mouth. Just gently taps Bhima on the where does Krishna tap you? What part of your body?
From behind the whip. I'm always under whip.
Yeah, great, wonderful. Thank you, dear Prabhus and Prabhujinis. Wonderful afterglow. I was thinking of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. When he was in his terminal stages of cancer, he shared this wonderful realization that it didn't say, "Krishna, you're not doing much." He said, "It doesn't get any better than this. It doesn't get any better than this." And Gail, that was a wonderful, real question. Thank you for asking. We're not saying you have that mentality, but it does sometimes seem that, "Krishna, where are you? I'm in so much trouble. Look at this bill. Where are you, Krishna?"
Yeah. And in those moments, we definitely need, love and affection from the devotees, from Krishna, to really drive home that hope that Krishna is still there.
My question referred not just to material problems, but spiritual problems also,
Yes.
by the way. But I think it applies in either case with your answer. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Gil. And I want to also just thank Ananda Vihari Prabhu for so steadfastly being with everyone. It's like so nice, and for inventing the afterglow.
Oh, it's Bima's invention.
Ki
Oh,
Jai.
okay, Bhima Prabhu invented the afterglow. Excellent. Yeah, thank you for inventing the afterglow. It's really, just so pleasing to hear the way the discussions continue to blossom and unfurl, and everyone
I
gets
invented
charged
it
up by
for
the
a chance
darshan.
to. I invented it for a chance to give class myself.
Well, we're grateful for that. We're grateful for that, Prabhu.
All right. Hey, Domi, Hare Krishna, we see you. Hare Krishna. All right. Hare Krishna, everybody. A wonderful class, wonderful afterglow. Dina Bandhu Prabhu, you're such an effulgent devotee. Thank you for speaking, for answering questions. Wonderful. Wonderful all around. Life is good. Life goes on despite the rain, despite the lifelong challenges. We're grateful. Yeah, Krishna is with us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is with us. Srila Prabhupada is with us. No problem. No problem. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. Go to the temple, chant, feast, dance, share it with others. Haribol, and come again on Monday morning. We want to see you here on Monday morning. Come back. Hare Krishna.